Hello there. My name is Kiana Coleman, and I am majoring in psychology. My career goal is to become a therapist or a counselor to assist people in improving their cognitive abilities and their emotional health. I think that behavioral science it is very important because it helps professionals to understand human behavior and create effective treatments. Plus, research allows therapists like me, a becoming therapist, to use evidence-based methods. Um, it helps, in many ways, and doing this research is found that it is backed up by science. And so based on my interest, I started to think about a research topic I would like to explore. And so my research topic, it is basically upon the mental health and anxiety treatment. And so the question that I would love to study would be, how effective is therapy in reducing anxiety in people who are under high stress? Now, I chose this because anxiety is really common, and people of all types of ages face this. Whether it be from the stress of work, the stress of school, the stress of life challenges, understanding these treatments, how they work, therapists can make a real difference in people's lives. And so in psychology, we aim to describe, to explain, and to predict, and to influence behavior. So for anxiety, we describe symptoms like restless or worry, and then we explain the possible causes such as stress or past experiences. And then we predict when anxiety might spike, like during exams or big life challenges. And we become influenced behavior by applying therapy or treatment. And so we're going to look at some research that connects to this topic. Like, there were a couple of studies that shows help and support for anxiety treatments. For example, the McIverly and Everett in 2014, they studied um, a group of cognitive behavioral therapy called CPT for young people that is suffer from on an autistic spectrum. And so they found that the participants who went through the program, they actually had lower depression and stress scores compared to a waitlist group. Now, this shows that the structured therapy programs can really assist people. And so there was another study by the Trisno Petrie and colleagues in 2025, and they looked at the coloring therapy for older adults, and this was over the course of 4 weeks. And the participants, they showed a notable drop in anxiety levels after these sessions. And so these studies, they highlight that structured intervention, whether it's the CBT or the creative therapy, it can reduce anxiety. And they show the value of using the experimental and the pre-experimental designs to test treatment effectiveness. So if I were to design my own study, here is the method that I would use. And for this research, I would use the experimental method, which is really useful for figuring out cause and effect relationships. And so I would set it up with the independent variable, which is the type of therapy, and then the dependent variable is the level of anxiety participants experience. And so basically, one group would come in, they would receive the therapy while the other group wouldn't. And then we would compare anxiety levels between these two groups. And so this will help show if therapy really causes a change in anxiety. And so now, we're going to talk about what is strong about this method and what could be challenging. Now, the experimental method, it has some key strengths. We control the variables, which keeps the study focused. It allows us to draw the cause and the effect conclusions. And then the research process Uh, is structured and it is systematic, which helps reduce reliable results. Now, on the other hand, there are some limitations. Now, participants, they might come in and they might act differently because they know that they are being studied. And then there are the ethical considerations, especially when studying mental health, and results from one group may not always represent um, it just may not always represent the entire population. And so being aware of the strengths and limitations is important because it really affects the reliability and the validity. Excuse me if I'm not saying it correctly, but of the research. And so we're going to just speak about the reliability and the validity. And so reliability, it means that it is that if the study, if it is repeated, the results would be consistent. So if I ran the therapy session again with the similar groups, we would hope to see a similar change in anxiety. And then the validity, it means that the study is actually measuring what it is supposed to measure. So in this case, the tools we use need to accurately measure anxiety levels. So when the research is both reliable and valid, then can we trust the findings and use them to make better treatment decisions? Now, we're going to go over the data that could be collected and analyzed. Now, to collect data, we could use a few different methods. We could use the surveys to measure anxiety levels. We could use the psychological assessment tools, interviews with participants, and observations of behavior during the therapy. And then to see if the therapy works, we compared the anxiety scores before and after therapy, and we would look for statistical significant differences. Now, basically, to see if the change is meaningful. Now, of course, there are a few challenges that we need to consider. Absolutely, right? And so, is some possible challenges could include participants dropping out of the study before it's even done, anxiety being hard to measure accurately because it's an internal experience, and also people giving these biased answers on surveys, just downplaying their anxiety. And so, even though these are challenging and they exist, knowing about them ahead of time helps us to design better studies and interpret results carefully. And so, just wrap it up, in the summary of the research question and method, how effective is therapy in reducing anxiety for people under high stress? The best way to answer this would be using experimental method where we can test different types of therapy and measure anxiety levels before and after. And so, although there are some challenges like participant dropouts and measurement difficulties, overall, this approach it would give us the most reliable and valid evidence about what works in reducing anxiety. And so this is my video, and I hope that you enjoyed it and that you heard me loud and clear. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.